but pay attention to what is happening inside your chest. There is a tight, crawling sensation under your skin, a quiet, terrifying hum of anxiety. Your brain is scanning the room, scanning the silence, desperately looking for a problem. And when it cannot find one, you create one. You pick up your phone and doom scroll through the worst news you can find. You suddenly remember a minor mistake you made 3 years ago and let it ruin your entire mood. You pick a fight over nothing. You procrastinate on a massive project just to push yourself into the adrenaline-fueled panic of a missed deadline. You are holding a match, and you are actively looking for a reason to burn your own house down. This is core wisdom. If you are exhausted by the endless cycle of destroying your own peace, if you are ready to put the matches down and build the fortress, you are in the right place. Subscribe. We build it together. Why do you do this? Why do you actively sabotage the very life you prayed for? You think it is a character flaw. You think you are just naturally self-destructive. You look at the wreckage of your relationships, your career, and your mental health, and you assume you are simply broken. But it is not a moral failing. It is a profound, deeply ingrained neurological adaptation. You are suffering from an invisible, silent addiction. You are addicted to chaos. To understand this, you must look back at the environment that forged you. For many of you, your early life or your most formative relationships were not safe. They were unpredictable. They were loud, emotionally volatile, and consistently stressful. You grew up walking on eggshells. You learned to constantly read the room, waiting for the next explosion, the next betrayal, the next crisis. In that environment, your nervous system made a brilliant, tragic adaptation to keep you alive. It reset your baseline. It decided that high levels of cortisol, adrenaline, and stress were your normal operating state. Chaos became your home. Chaos became familiar. And to the human brain, familiarity feels exactly like safety. Now, look at your life today. When you finally achieve stability, when you find a healthy partner who does not play games, when you secure a reliable income, when the drama finally stops, your logical mind is relieved, but your nervous system is absolutely terrified. Because to a nervous system wired for war, peace is not relaxing. Peace is highly suspicious. Peace is the terrifying, deafening silence right before the ambush. When everything is going well, your primal brain starts screaming. It says, "This is a trap. It is too quiet. The other shoe is going to drop. When is the attack coming?" The tension of waiting for the disaster becomes unbearable. You cannot tolerate the suspense. The quiet is suffocating you. So, what does your subconscious do? It takes control. It decides that if a disaster is inevitable, it is better to trigger the disaster yourself. This is the dark, twisted logic of self-sabotage. If you ruin the relationship yourself, you do not have to live in the agonizing, helpless fear of being abandoned unexpectedly. If you destroy your own success, you do not have to live with the heavy pressure of maintaining it. If you start the fire yourself, at least you get to hold the match. At least you control the burn. You are choosing a familiar misery over an unfamiliar peace. You are exactly like a war veteran who has finally returned home. The war ended years ago. The enemy is dead. You are sleeping in a warm, safe bed. But you cannot sleep. You keep a loaded weapon under your pillow. You wake up in cold sweats. You pace the hallways of your own house, pointing your rifle at the shadows on the wall, completely ready to fight to the death. You are fully prepared for a war that is no longer happening. The only enemy left in the perimeter is you. Look at how this addiction to chaos manifests in your daily choices. Look at the people you are drawn to. When you meet someone who is consistent, honest, and completely available, What do you say? You tell your friends that you feel no spark. You say they are boring. That is not a lack of chemistry. That is a lack of cortisol. You are not missing romance. You are missing the anxiety of not knowing where you stand. You have confused the panic of a trauma bond with the feeling of love. So you discard the healthy person and you walk right back into the arms of the manipulator, the narcissist, the emotionally unavailable partner. Because their unpredictable behavior gives you the chemical hit of chaos that your nervous system is begging for. You crave the high of their validation and the devastating low of their withdrawal. You are a junkie returning to the dealer, trying to convince yourself it is fate. Look at how you manage your career and your time. You are given a project with a 2-week deadline. A healthy mind would pace the work, completing it with low stress and clear focus. But not you. You wait. You distract yourself. You let the days pass until there are only 12 hours left. And then the panic sets in. The adrenaline floods your system. You stay up all night, fueled by caffeine and pure terror, fighting a war against the clock. You finish it, completely exhausted, your heart pounding in your chest, and you call yourself a clutch performer. You are not a clutch performer. You are an adrenaline addict who cannot perform without a gun to your head. You artificially manufactured a life or death crisis just to feel motivated to do your job. And look at your mind when you are entirely alone. When you sit in an empty room, you cannot just exist. The silence is too loud. You have to fill the void with podcasts, loud music, endless scrolling, or obsessive rumination about a past you cannot change and a future you cannot predict. You are terrified of the stillness, because in the stillness, the adrenaline fades, the cortisol drops. And when the noise of the chaos finally stops, you are left completely alone with yourself. When the noise of the chaos finally stops, you are left completely alone with yourself. And that is exactly what you are trying to avoid. Because when you sit in the silence, you are forced to confront the darkest, most deeply buried layer of your psyche. Carl Jung called it the shadow. In the shadow lies the most uncomfortable truth of your existence. The real reason you burn down your own life when everything is going perfectly. It is not just about the adrenaline. It is about your profound lack of worthiness. Deep down, beneath the arrogance, beneath the ambition, beneath the tough persona you show to the world, there is a fractured part of you that fundamentally believes you do not deserve a good life. You believe you are flawed. You believe you are a fraud. You suffer from a terminal case of imposter syndrome, not just in your career, but in your very right to exist in peace. When someone truly loves you without playing games, when you land the dream job, when the bank account is finally full, your conscious mind celebrates. But your shadow self recoils in horror. It looks at the peace, the love, and the success, and it whispers, "This is a mistake. They are going to figure you out. You do not belong here. You are garbage dressed in gold." Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. The human mind cannot tolerate a massive, gaping contradiction between what it believes on the inside and what it experiences on the outside. If your internal reality is a war zone of low self-esteem and self-hatred, but your external reality is a peaceful, loving, successful life, the psychological tension becomes unbearable. The mind must close the gap. It must make the outside world match the inside world. And since it is incredibly difficult and painful to instantly heal your deep-rooted trauma and raise your self-worth, your mind takes the easier, much darker path. It destroys the external reality to match your internal brokenness. This is the anatomy of self-sabotage. You cheat on the loyal partner. You blow the saved money on something completely stupid. You pick an unforgivable, venomous fight with your best friend. You insult the boss who believed in you. You stop going to the gym the moment you finally start seeing results. And as the ashes of your life fall around you, as you sit in the absolute wreckage of a peace you just destroyed with your own two hands, a twisted, sick sense of relief washes over your nervous system. You think, I knew it. I knew it was too good to be true. I knew they would leave. I knew I would fail. It did not just end. They did not just leave. You assassinated the peace. You handed them the knife and guided it into your own back. You became the executioner of your own happiness because it gave you the ultimate illusion of control. To allow yourself to be truly happy, to allow yourself to experience profound peace and deep connection, requires absolute vulnerability. It requires you to accept that you have something incredibly valuable to lose. It requires you to stand completely unprotected in the open field, knowing that tragedy, illness, or betrayal could strike at any moment and take it all away. That lack of control is terrifying to you, so you take the coward's way out. You destroy the valuable thing before the universe has a chance to take it from you. You fire the gun yourself, so you do not have to flinch waiting for the sound. You are a control freak, orchestrating your own downfall so you never have to be a victim of surprise. Look at the absolute tragedy of this dynamic. You are protecting yourself from a hypothetical pain in the future by inflicting a guaranteed pain upon yourself right now. You are locking yourself in a prison cell and swallowing the key just to prove that you cannot be locked up by anyone else. But you must realize that the cage is entirely in your mind. You have fought so hard to climb out of the mud. You have spent years building the foundation, working late nights, trying to escape the chaotic environments that broke you in the first place. And now that you have finally arrived on solid ground, you are panicking because you do not know how to walk on it. You only know how to swim in the mud. You do not need more therapy to figure out why you do this. You already know why. You are addicted to the chaos, and you hate yourself just enough to believe you deserve it. What you need now is not an explanation. What you need is iron discipline. The cure to the addiction to chaos is not trying to force yourself to feel incredibly happy about the peace. The cure is learning how to endure it. You must learn how to tolerate the boredom of a good life. Let me repeat that. A healthy, stable, drama-free life is going to feel incredibly, painfully boring to a nervous system that is addicted to war. When you are with a partner who actually communicates instead of ghosting you, there are no extreme highs and extreme lows. There is just a steady, calm, consistent warmth. To your traumatized brain, that steady warmth feels like a flat line. It feels dead. You will feel an overwhelming, almost physical urge to inject some venom into the relationship just to see if the heart monitor spikes. You will want to start an argument over dirty dishes just to feel the adrenaline rush of conflict and the dopamine hit of the inevitable makeup. When that urge hits you, you are experiencing the exact same physiological withdrawal symptoms as a drug addict coming off narcotics. Your body is screaming for cortisol. It is begging for a manufactured crisis. It will try to convince you that the relationship is dead, that the job is a dead end, that your life has lost its edge. It will feed you incredibly convincing, highly logical lies to get you to strike the match. You must treat your own mind like a hostile entity in those moments. When the urge to burn it all down rises in your chest, you do not negotiate with it. You do not analyze it. You freeze. This is the discipline of the sovereign. You must master the ancient, agonizing art of doing absolutely nothing when every fiber of your being is screaming at you to react. You do not send the venomous text message to test their loyalty. You do not pick a fight over a misplaced coffee cup. You do not quit the project just because you feel a sudden, crushing wave of imposter syndrome. You do not open the app to look at the thing you know will ruin your day. You sit with the unbearable, crawling itch of your own anxiety. You let the cortisol spike, and you let it crash, without ever taking an external action to relieve the internal pressure. You are going through withdrawal, and just like any addict, the only way to the other side is through the fire of detox. You have to retrain your nervous system. You have to teach your primal, traumatized brain that the absence of a crisis does not mean you are in danger. It means you are finally safe. Look at your life right now. The empire you are trying to build requires a foundation of absolute stone. It requires predictability. It requires routine. It requires days where absolutely nothing interesting happens. Do you think the greatest minds and conquerors in history spent their days artificially manufacturing emotional drama because they were bored? No. They ruthlessly eliminated drama so they could focus all of their aggressive energy on mastery. Boredom is not your enemy. Boredom is the ultimate luxury of a sovereign. Boredom means the walls are secure. Boredom means the invaders have been defeated. Boredom means you finally have the space, the time, and the mental bandwidth to actually build something that matters, instead of constantly running around with buckets of water to put out fires you started yourself. You must reframe your relationship with peace. Stop calling it boring. Start calling it freedom. When you feel that familiar urge to self-sabotage, you must realize that is your shadow self testing the perimeter. It is knocking on the door of your conscious mind, asking, "Are we still playing the victim? Are we still broken? Are we going to destroy this before they can?" You must answer with cold, unyielding iron. No, we are building an empire. You have to consciously, aggressively decide that you are worthy of a good life. You have to stop punishing yourself for the sins of your past or the trauma inflicted upon you by people who are no longer even in the room. You did not choose the chaotic environment that broke your nervous system, but you are absolutely 100% responsible for refusing to recreate it. You are the architect now. You hold the blueprint. If your relationship is healthy, let it be healthy. Do not inject poison into the well just to see if your partner will still drink the water to prove their love. That is not love. That is a hostage situation. If your career is stable, let it be stable. Use that stability to innovate and expand, not to panic and retreat. If your mind is quiet, let it be quiet. Do not confuse peace with stagnation. Peace is the fertile ground where true, unshakable power grows. Chaos is just a distraction for weak men who do not have the discipline to face themselves in the silence. You have spent your entire life as a warrior fighting in the trenches. You know how to bleed. You know how to survive the worst days of your life. You are an absolute master of surviving the storm. But now, you face the ultimate, terrifying test of your character. Can you survive the sunshine? Can you tolerate the beauty of a life well lived without tearing it apart with your bare hands out of sheer panic? The war is over. Take off the heavy armor. Put down the weapon. The enemy is gone. They left a long time ago. The only person still shooting in the dark is you. So tonight, look around your room. Listen to the profound silence of your own life. Feel the complete absence of a crisis. Feel the weight of the peace you have earned. When your mind tries to whisper a terrifying, "What if?" When your traumatized nervous system tries to hand you a match to start a familiar fire, you look at that match and you break it in half. You are not a victim of your own mind. You are the king. And the king does not burn down his own castle just because it is a quiet Tuesday. Breathe in the quiet. Settle into the safety. Let the addiction to chaos starve to death outside your gates. Sleep well. You are finally home. This is core wisdom. If you are ready to drop the matches and walk the path of the sovereign, subscribe. Leave the herd behind.